I'm Brad.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're the Musial Suspects.
All right, that's it.
That's really bad.
Yeah, it's going to be fine.
I mean, the music's not bad, but...
Yeah, that's my buddy Jesse. He does a bunch of cool EDM stuff. But the quality will get better, but as Brad likes to say...
we're overburdened with indifference.
Yeah, so...
But so this is the inaugural podcast, the very first one, and it's kind of like the pilot episode of the Musial Suspects. And basically what we are is we're just two guys talking about Cardinals baseball.
Yeah, usually we just do this either at church or after church, and we just complain about random things that happen with the Cardinals, and why not share it with the world?
But we're also, well, I like to think I'm funny. Other people disagree.
I mean, my little quote on Facebook literally says, "I think I'm funny." Check my Facebook. It says, "I think I'm funny." No one else does, but I think I'm hilarious.
Don't check my Facebook because I never post on it. As a matter of fact, the only thing that ever makes it up is like whenever I do a workout, and it auto-posts because I haven't figured out how to turn that feature off. Actually, I do know how to turn it off. I just want you all to feel bad about not working out. So anyway, without any further ado, I covered my thing up here, but let's get into the podcast today. So what we want to talk about really is basically we're 1 week into this season, right?
Yep.
So
7 games in.
7 games in, and they have a record of what, 3-4?
3-4.
So I guess my thing is they were 500 on the road.
Yeah.
And then we had our home opener, and
not so great.
No, I mean the ceremony was good, and the first inning was good, and then it was all downhill.
It was not very good at all.
I mean, we didn't get blown out, but
no, and that's been kind of our thing all year. Even when we lose, it's really not that bad. I mean, the first couple games against the Mets
were bad.
I mean,
we scored enough runs.
Yeah, we scored enough runs on Syndergaard, but
yeah,
we gave up a ton because Martinez couldn't throw a strike. But with that being said, it was funny looking on social media because apparently the season was over at that point, and Carlos was not the ace that he was meant to be, and then goes out against the Brewers and should have gotten a complete game shutout if it wasn't for a botched play at third.
Yeah. I look for the starting pitching to come around, but I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. It's largely unproven, and Carlos Martinez seems to me, or in my memory, is kind of a slow starter.
Yeah, I agree. The only problem with Martinez, it seemed like last year I thought last year he really had it together, but if you look at his last 2 starts, it changed his ERA from like 3.2 or 3.3 to like 3.7.
I don't even know what that means.
His ERA went up almost half a run because of 2 bad starts.
Is that a lot? Well, are you saying at the end of last year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, that doesn't seem like to move a lot for 2 starts.
Well, but it was at the end of the season. So
yeah, I mean, that's a lot of movement.
When you have 200 innings, when you pitch 200 innings and then all of a sudden it changes that drastically. I mean, it wasn't some good outings from him.
So like one of the things I like to do is I like to play like high-low. So we're going to do what we call high-low, and it's basically our high points of the season so far and our low points of the season so far.
Okay.
So like if I'll start off. My high point of the season so far is the offense of Jose Martinez. Not gonna lie. I didn't have a lot of hope for him, and I told my father-in-law, why on earth is he starting at first base?
Because he rakes.
Yeah, apparently that's it.
Yeah.
Because he was the only person who could hit Syndergaard in the first day.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he ended up 3 for 4 or 4 for 5, something like that. Like he was raking all year. Like all year so far, he's been putting balls in play. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was against the Brewers. He hit a line drive, and off the bat, you're like, oh, that's a double, and he happened to hit it right to third base.
Yeah.
You're like, I bet you that third baseman, if he would have winked, he has a broken nose. Because that ball was hit hard.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that all like throughout the beginning of the season. Like he's hitting the ball and he's hitting the ball hard. But these last couple of games he hasn't been able to get on base because unfortunately he's hitting it right to fielders. But I mean, for crying out loud.
Well, you kind of want to break down why does he have so much success, blah blah blah. Well, he's really tall. He's a good reach, but
Yeah,
I just watch
6'7", I think.
yeah, I watch his swing, and the thing about his swing that I really like, and there's so much talk and so much emphasis put on launch angle, but he's not concerned with that. His swing is level, but when I say level, what I notice about his swing is that he comes through the strike zone on the same angle as the pitcher is throwing the ball through the strike zone. So he increases his chances of making contact with the ball by putting his bat in that contact zone for a longer period of time than most hitters do. For example, DeJong.
Yeah.
DeJong has a great launch angle, but that bat barely cuts through that area. So if he doesn't get it just right, well, then he gets 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, the golden sombrero.
Yeah. So, which I think that happened in the last game, didn't it?
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
So what about you?
0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts.
Just the high.
Personally, for me, I would say it was Miles Michaelis. I've been pretty high on him for most of the offseason. I wrote an article for Arch City talking about how he could be a dark horse just based on the numbers he put up in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction that I got for the most part was that when he pitched in the majors before that, he didn't have a lot of success. And I'm like, I know that. I'm going off of what happened in Japan.
But he's a lizard king.
Yeah, he ate a lizard, and he's just a bona fide ace now.
Yeah, that's all it takes, guys. For all you youngsters out there listening to this podcast, that's all you need to do is bite the head off a lizard in the locker room.
No, eat the entire lizard.
Oh, the whole thing.
Whole lizard. And wash it down with Mountain Dew.
It's on the YouTubes.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you don't believe me, look it up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it at this point, you're missing out.
Now, when is it Michaelis? Is that how you pronounce it? I look at it and it's like it's kind of an odd name to pronounce because Mikolas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which Michaelis, but not like Bernie.
Oh, I hear all the time. I hear like whenever we first signed him, everyone was like Miles Mikolas. It's
Mikolas.
like no,
It's Greek.
It's
but
like
maybe
no,
that's
it's
not how he pronounces it.
Oh, it was great because even after he said how to pronounce it, everyone was like, "Yeah, Miles Mikolas." It's like no, he said it's Michaelis, guys.
Michaelis. So that's how he wants it pronounced.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
that's
mean,
what I'll do.
the reason that I say he was the high point so far is that even though he only went 5 2/3, he should have been able to finish out the 6th. Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Now they put in Bud Norris, and Bud Norris got the out, which is great. But up to that point, Michaelis was the only pitcher who actually he was efficient.
Mm-hmm.
He had a low pitch count through most of the game. I think through 5 innings, he probably had the lowest pitch count of any of the Cardinals starters up to that point. And so honestly,
He looked solid.
Yeah, he was hitting his spots, but in Miller Park, it's a hitter's ballpark, so he gave up a couple bombs. And by bombs, I mean bombs.
Yeah, but he got one back.
Yeah, like by himself.
Yeah.
Hit a 2-run shot.
It's his first major league home run. Or
Yeah.
well, it's not just his first major league home run, but it's his first major league hit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, from before that, he pitched for Texas, so he wasn't going to get an at bat. But then he also pitched for San Diego. But when he pitched for San Diego, he was a bullpen.
Okay.
He was in the bullpen. So if he was getting regular at bats in the bullpen, then they were probably really out of it. They're like, yeah, just go hit. You're fine. But apparently he hit 2 home runs while he was in Japan. So he only had like a career average over there of like 109 or like 110.
Well,
it was pretty low, but he still hit 2 home runs.
But that's not
so.
what. Yeah, I don't know. I remember texting you during the game after he hit that home run, being like, he's got a prettier swing than Dexter Fowler.
Oh, because I sent it to you. I'm like, hey, he has more RBIs than Fowler does. And like no disrespect to Fowler, I wasn't the biggest fan of Dexter Fowler being signed. I had about 6 outfielders in front of him as my go-to list.
But let's be honest, as a field player, as a hitter, which is part of your job, nobody wants to have a pitcher be more productive than they are, even if it's just for like one day in the majors.
I mean, if you really want to look at it, Adam Wainwright's like a career 220 hitter.
Adam Wainwright's a better career hitter than I am.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And I
he has 10 home runs in his career.
So
that's about as many as John Jay has. I mean,
yeah.
I'm guessing, but yeah.
So I didn't get to see a whole lot of Michaelis pitching because
I made sure to watch that game
because I was at the gym. And so like they had it on the screen and I would walk back and forth and do it. And what I saw of it, I liked.
Yeah. He's not really known for much swing and miss stuff. He's not going to strike a lot of guys out. But what I did find really really entertaining was the fact that he didn't walk anybody, which up to that point that was like a big issue. I remember in that first game, I think Martinez walked like he walked 6, and then the bullpen walked like 2 or 3 more. And it's just like, yeah, well, when you give those guys 9 base runners, you're gonna give up some runs. And
Yeah.
with Michaelis, he gave up the home runs, which kind of sucked. But in Miller Park, it's to be expected. But yeah, he didn't walk anyone. He was really efficient, and I think I did a bold prediction with Michaelis winning 15 games, and we're 14 away.
Yeah, bold. I don't know that that's that bold though. I mean, if what is he? Our number 3 guy in the rotation. I mean, if 4. Well, especially number 4. I mean, if he gives me 15 wins this year, I mean, if he gives me something similar to that every start, which I don't expect that. I mean, he's going to have some clunkers, but I also would think,
I think he's going to have starts where he's not giving up 4 earned runs in 5 innings. I mean, he's got a pretty high ERA, but it seemed like the consensus from most fans was he pitched pretty well.
Yeah,
he hit spots. He hit up to 97 on the gun.
Yeah,
and I didn't really expect that. He's usually like a 93, 94 guy,
But I mean, as long as like I said, if what he does averages out to what that game was, I'm going to be very satisfied with him. Not that that means anything to anybody.
No.
But if I'm the average Cardinal fan and the average Cardinal fan is satisfied with that type of production, you got to call it a success. Because I mean, ultimately, these guys are in the business of entertainment.
Yeah.
And when we're losing, you're not entertaining me. You're infuriating me.
Pretty much.
And I'm sure we will have some rage casts after some games.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely saw a lot of that when Leon gave up those back-to-back home runs in Milwaukee, because I mean we could have gone for the sweep, but
interestingly enough about that. So I was in the sauna at that time, and a couple old guys in the sauna, fully clothed. They weren't doing the naked thing.
And that's good.
Because we don't do that at my gym.
Thank goodness.
No, because I wouldn't be a member. That I'd switch.
Yeah.
But they're not paying me, so I'm not going to tell you which gym it is. But if you do want to pay us, we won't say no. But anyway, shameless plug for advertisement. Woo! Right now we have 0 listeners because this is the first one. But anyway.
I mean, I'm listening, Brad.
This is true. You know what? We actually have 2 listeners. And they're laughing
away
at
from
us.
who are walking away from the table.
Are you leaving, Rolo?
Yes.
Bye, Rolo.
Bye.
Have a good night, bud.
Have a good night. Good luck with this first podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Do you want to tell
man.
everybody hi?
Hi.
This is Rolo. He's awesome. All right, so back to what I was saying is I was in the sauna, and these guys like, what are the Cardinals doing? And the one guy's like, oh, they won. And I was thinking to myself, well, they won. The last I had saw, Leon was pitching, and they were up, but there was 1 out. So I had assumed that sometime between me walking past the TV and into the sauna,
that they'd won.
he had gotten 2 outs and they had won. And I got home and flipped on the telly, and the score said 5-4, not 4-3. And I was like, what happened? Because I definitely would have turned over a table.
Yeah.
Because I'm not okay with that. Now, Greg Holland's on the way.
And I'm pretty excited about that.
I hope so.
My first article that I ever wrote for Arch City was just an off-season article. It's like, oh, what should the Cardinals do? And like the first guy on the list of free agents that I wanted was Greg Holland.
Now, did they get him for a better deal than they would have if they had signed him at the beginning of free agency?
He turned down a similar deal to what Wade Davis got, which was I think 3 years, $52 million.
And the Cardinals gave him what, 26 for 1?
No, 1 year, 14.
1 year, 14. Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
he got greedy.
Well, yeah, he turned down a $15 million option to stay with the Rockies. And then decided to go to free agency because he wanted a long-term deal. Well, and he turned down a long-term deal, but because he wanted more money. And then he decided pretty late, well, I kind of want to be on a team.
Yeah,
and the
I actually want to play ball.
And
low ball.
And I guess he wanted to, because I'm assuming he had multiple offers, but he wanted to go to a team that was more of a contender, which makes me feel pretty good.
Yeah, right. If he considers the Cardinals a contender.
Yeah. What I do find very interesting is that if you look at the opinion of baseball folk outside of St. Louis, they think St. Louis is a really good team. They've got them in like the top 10 of their power rankings. And
I've noticed that.
But in St. Louis, everyone's like, oh, this team sucks.
Yeah,
and it just blows my mind how different it is because everyone else is like, oh, yeah, pretty good team. But all the fans here, it's like, oh, we're not 7-0 right now. We're worse than the Brewers. Like,
Yeah, but like the Pirates are what 6-1,
I think so.
and they are nothing this year. Like
Yeah.
nobody expects them to be very good this
Well,
year.
yeah, but I mean, they had a nice outing against Lance Lynn
Well, they're
because they've seen him so
Yeah.
much.
you know
5 runs in the first inning,
I'm a little bit afraid that we're gonna miss him a little bit because he was an innings eater.
and I think that's why they have Michaelis.
I
I think
hope
that's
so.
why they brought him back.
I hope so because
Which makes sense, but because there were a lot of people that wanted Lance Lynn, Jake Arrieta, Alex Cobb, Yu Darvish, and we ended up with Michaelis, and everyone's like, "Who is this guy? This is stupid." And it's like it's called cost effectiveness, man.
yeah.
$7.75 million a year. Even Lynn got less than projected, and he was still $12 million.
Yeah.
So for more than $4 million less, I mean, we've got a guy that thus far seems to be pretty cool.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
And
that's-
already has a home run, so that's
we're only
solid.
one game in with him. You know,
Yeah.
we'll wait and see. I mean, I would like to see him eat more innings.
Yeah. If I
Like
if Matheny wouldn't have pulled him out, it seems that they're pulling guys out pretty quickly when it gets to a certain pitch count. Except for Martinez, he ended up with like 115 against Milwaukee. But seems like it seems like now you get to around 90, and unless you're dealing, it's just like, all right, we're gonna turn it over to the bullpen. Sorry.
Right. Well, you know, and we were talking highs and lows, but we kind of got in, and we're kind of drifting toward those lows. And I think these lows, like, I'm worried a little bit about the strikeouts.
Just a tad.
You know, but I saw a stat today that said that what was it, 58 strikeouts? The Cubs had 58 strikeouts, and that's some sort of it's either like a National League
It
record.
was through like the first 4 games.
Yeah,
Or something.
which is a ton of strikeouts.
I mean, the Cardinals aren't doing much better. Through 7 games, they've struck out 72 times.
That's a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah,
But like, so I know we're not the worst in strikeouts, but that's like,
pretty bad.
Well, the thing is it's like, yeah, I robbed that bank, but at least I didn't murder the guard.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, it's better, but it ain't that much better.
Well, and I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. It doesn't help that in 3 of those games they faced ridiculous strikeout pitchers.
right.
Just absolutely ridiculous. Like last night they faced Robbie Ray. He struck out 9 through 6 innings.
Well, here's the thing, though. Last
And-
night I kind of watched, in watching that game, I noticed that the strike zone was tight.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, both
it was
pitchers
pretty
were getting
rough.
pinched. But what I seemed to notice was the Cardinals were chasing more pitches.
Yeah.
They weren't as disciplined.
Well, once it doesn't help that once you're down, you're trying to get on base with whatever you can. So, I mean, at least with the young, I mean, there was a few different pitches. Like there was one at bat. It was after Ray got out, but he struck out. I mean, he kept going for that sinker. And I mean, but the thing is though, when that ball was coming in, that ball was already going to be maybe knee high, and then it just dropped.
Yeah.
So it makes I don't know. I feel like that's one of those pitches maybe he should lay off, but at the same time, I've also seen him really pound those low pitches over the yard. So I feel like that's like his bread and butter almost.
It is.
But then,
But it's gotta
if
be-
you have a
it's-
good enough sinker, it just gets right
it's
by
got to
him.
be in the strike zone though
Yeah.
for him to hit it, and so like if the book gets out on him,
Mm-hmm.
that and that's kind of like one of the other topics we're going to talk about a little bit later on is Brett Cecil.
Yeah,
When they've got the book on you, you have to change what you're doing.
pretty much.
But so I know he's young, and I know there's a chance. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen. His ability to adjust to their adjustments to him is going to tell me a lot about the success he's going to have as a major leaguer. So if he's not able to figure out that, hey, now we're going to try to get you out with that pitch where the bottom drops out, and he's going to have to start laying off the pitch that he loves to hit out of the ballpark, he's going to have a rough go of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I saw those adjustments in Diaz last year.
Yeah, Diaz. I mean, the big
Best
thing
of luck,
about
best of luck to him, but
yeah, I mean, the thing with Diaz was he was raking, and that's why he was playing. He only got playing time because our backup shortstop got hurt.
this is true.
And so he gets some playing time, and then all of a sudden he's hitting like 320, and they're like, "Well, we're going to keep him in the lineup because he's hitting."
Right.
But at the time, he was a defensive liability. He wasn't doing very well defensively, whether bringing up to nerves, finally getting to the big leagues, or what. Defensively, he was not a great shortstop, but he kept hitting, so they kept playing him.
And that's the thing about the major leagues is if you can hit, they kind of like see no evil with your defense. Because like, do you remember the very first ball hit to Jose Martinez this year?
He threw it to left
field. He threw it into the outfield on a sure double play ball.
Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah, like he thought he was playing second base.
Woo.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, and so when Diaz gets to his sophomore season, guess what? Now he's been adjusted to, and now he's only hitting 240, and guess what? His defense still sucks. So what happens? Paul DeYoung gets a shot. Diaz gets sent to AAA, and Paul DeYoung finishes out the season.
And
hits 25 bombs.
Yeah, talking about rookie of the year.
Yeah,
he was in the.
He was second.
Yeah,
behind Cody Bellinger.
Yeah,
if he would have had a full season in the major leagues, he could have put up a fight because between AAA and the majors, he had 38 home runs.
Well, provided that his production would have been the same.
Yeah,
I mean, it's in it. Like I said, anyway, it's exposure and your ability to adjust that exposure. So that's kind of one of the things I'm eager to see with the Cardinals this year is how do they develop the young players, because they do have kind of a young team.
Yeah, and they're only going to get younger. They've got a lot of guys in waiting that are,
so
trying to seize the opportunity. Yeah. But as far as my low point, I kind of had the same thing with the strikeouts, but I didn't want to have the same thing, so I'm going to kind of go back to the pitching staff for the starters and just overall efficiency. Like, quit walking guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather a guy get on with a single, like make him work for it. If anything, I mean, the only time you should really walk someone is if you're trying to set up a double play ball or something.
In those first couple games against the Mets, it seemed like they had two places they could throw the ball: out of the strike zone,
or right down the middle.
right down the middle.
Yeah, and so their guys were getting on with no problem at all. I mean, again, Martinez walked 6 guys, and you wonder why he struggled.
Yeah,
because he put on so many guys, and he had a hit batter. On top of that, so he walked 6. He hit another guy. He gave up, I think, 5 hits. So yeah, in 4 2/3, you got 12 base runners. Probably going to score at least a couple times.
Yeah, you're bound to, and especially when you're facing a pitcher who's a shutdown pitcher like Syndergaard or Grom. I mean, you can't do that.
Like I was telling you earlier, in terms of strikeouts per 9 last season, Robbie Ray, who they faced last night, was the league leader with 12.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. He only had like 160 something innings.
Yes, because he got hit in the bean by.
Yep.
Is it Luke Voigt?
Yep. I felt bad for Robbie Ray, but I thought it was pretty cool when Luke Voigt went up to him. He's like, "Hey man, my bad."
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, that was my fault."
I know it's in my slow pitch softball league, there's a guy I play with, and he hit a line drive, and I play co-ed, and there was a girl pitching. And you got to understand that if you're pitching in slow pitch softball, that there's a good chance you can get a screamer coming back at you. Well, he missed what he was trying to do with the ball, and he hit it dead up the middle, and it bounced off her knee, and she hit the ground. She started crying. I mean, she ended up finishing the game. She's tough, but this dude was wasted for most of that season because
fantastic.
He couldn't get it out of his head, and he just felt so bad. And every time he'd go up to bat, if there was a girl pitching, he couldn't. So
laying down the bunt.
Right. And so it's just like I feel like Voigt had to have been like compelled as a decent human being to go out there and be like, "Hey, I didn't mean to hit you in the head."
Like when I play baseball, like if I go to the batting cages and go into the relatively fast area, I mean, you're lucky if I can pick where that ball's going. I'm swinging when I see it.
Right.
I mean, so I tend to hit it toward
dropping down the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
too sweet.
If I can get the timing, I tend to hit it between second base and shortstop, right in that area, just kind of right up the middle. But if I catch it late, I mean, I don't know where that ball's going.
No,
I could do knee jerk and swing really quick and hit a foul ball to the left, or I could barely touch it and it's a dribbler to right. Like I don't know where it's going. So I mean. I know these guys are major league players, but at the same time, I don't think they know exactly where that ball's going when they hit it. If they did, it's like I'm gonna hit a home run every time.
Well, yeah, to an extent they know. Like
there's a reason. There's a reason
to right field on purpose.
I mean, there's a reason they play the shifts too.
Right.
Yeah, where's he hitting? Probably left. Why do you say that? like
It's just
80% of the
looking at
time.
looking at the spread chart, that's just where a swing takes him. So,
just tends to be where it happens.
you know, we talked about my low point pretty much extensively. Striking out,
Yeah,
not just striking out, but striking out looking.
it might be my biggest pet peeve.
don't really
I've
think
mentioned
that's
it
a
to you.
pet peeve.
I mentioned it to you before. Not even striking out looking. I'm just talking about taking strikes.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what the count is. If it's a strike, swing the bat, man.
Well, that's
Like I get that you want it. It's like, well, that wasn't my pitch. Well, that's great. Well, that next one wasn't your pitch either, and now you're sitting on the bench.
right.
Like, so if it looks like a strike, swing the bat. That's
Right.
one thing that I liked about Pete Cosma. He hit like 220 maybe, but I didn't see him taking that many strikes. He had a pretty good eye, but if it was a strike, he'd swing the bat.
Yeah.
Granted, he didn't get many hits,
Yeah.
but to my knowledge, I didn't see him striking out as much because I'll tell you what, it's my biggest pet peeve. I hate when people watch strikes. If it's a 3-0 count, fine.
Right.
Watch a strike because,
Yeah.
you know, some pitchers are good and can locate that strike, but at the same time, some pitchers are probably going to walk you.
Well,
If it's a 3-0 count, I get it.
Like-
Otherwise, if it's a strike, swing the bat.
and I know the major league game's different because, you know, everybody's good. Like,
Yeah.
like even the bad players are really good. But like when I was in high school, you know, I would bat 6th to 8th in the order. It was kind of about where I would come in and bat. And I didn't have a whole lot of at bats, but I had a fairly good idea of what the pitcher was going to try to do with me. So if you understand the strategy of the pitcher, it was always, let's try to get ahead of this guy. Let's go out here. Let's throw strikes. Let's get on top of it. Well, I'll tell you what I did is I sat on the fastball. I looked dead red on the first pitch, and I was looking for the fastball. Now, if it wasn't there, I didn't hit it. But if it was, I was swinging. And I know like the common knowledge and the way people teach is like, oh no, take a pitch, get blah blah blah. It's like
I hate it.
I don't like the idea of hitting from behind. I think sometimes against really good pitchers, sometimes the best pitch you're going to see in at bat is going to be your first pitch.
Yeah.
So why not sit dead red on that first pitch? Why not wait for the? I mean, again, like I said, this is kind of the strategy I used. I was sitting dead red, and if it wasn't a fastball, I didn't swing at it, strike or not.
See, whenever I played, I guess I had the satisfaction of being a leadoff guy most of the time.
Right.
And I would take pitches, but I didn't strike out a lot. I took pitches because they were bad.
I didn't
So
strike out once in high school.
So I would walk a lot. I struck out every once in a while, but I couldn't tell you how many times. Usually I walked. That tended to be my thing. Like I would either shoot one through the infield and get a single, or I'd get a walk and then steal second.
And your job as a leadoff hitter is different, naturally.
Yeah, just get on base.
Which brings me to what I want to talk about here is
Why
can we
Carpenter
please put
is yeah.
Marp in the leadoff spot?
Yeah.
I mean, he works the count. He does everything that you want out of a leadoff hitter. The only thing about him that isn't a typical leadoff hitter is his speed. But what's his
yeah.
OPS?
His OPS right now?
Yeah.
Not sure. Let me check. I know right now his batting average this season.
It's not great,
No.
but he gets on base.
Yeah, his batting average so far, granted it's been 7 games, is 182.
Right.
His on base percentage is 379.
379.
Yeah. So he has 7 walks.
Yeah. So those are base runners.
Yeah,
so
he has 7
when-
walks and 4 hits.
when you put people on base with the leadoff hitter, you put pressure on that pitcher. So you start getting what do they call them? High stress innings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's something the Cardinals have struggled with in their pitching staff is having high stress innings on their pitchers, which is why their pitchers haven't gone deep into games. We're not doing the same thing to the other guys. I mean, Dexter Fowler, I think, is a good number 2, number 3 hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a prototypical leadoff hitter, but I don't think he's as good a hitter as good a leadoff hitter as Matt Carpenter is.
No, if Carpenter had like even Fowler or Pham's speed, dude, be
Right.
an MVP candidate.
It wouldn't even be a conversation. There wouldn't be that. Well, Dexter Fowler. I was like, well, Dexter Fowler, what? We're putting Marp in the leadoff spot.
But you got Carpenter who apparently loses races to Yadier Molina.
But here's the thing. We don't steal anyway.
No, the only person that does is Pham or apparently Molina.
Yeah. Pham and Molina, the slowest guy on the team.
Yeah, well, and there's a difference between a fast base runner and a good base runner.
This is true. This is
Because
true.
I mean, you had Fowler and Pham get hosed against Milwaukee, and then like the next day Molina steals.
Right.
It's just it's just knowing when to steal and being able to get your jump. And
Yeah.
like I remember one of my first games I ever saw at Busch Stadium, Pujols stole third. I'm like, what? It's because he was a smart base runner.
He looked awful when he ran, though, didn't
Yeah,
he?
it was
Like I don't look good
clunking
when I run,
along.
but I sure felt like I looked like I knew how to run better than him.
Yeah, but
I don't.
he stole third with no problem. Beat the throw and everything because just you know when to like
Because
you just
he
kind of
knew.
know when to go. You end up learning a pitcher's tendencies, and
Mhm.
as soon as someone does it, you're like you can take off, and even if they catch it, they're probably
Right.
still not gonna get you.
So let's talk a little bit about these odd guys out, Cecil and Gregerson.
They're coming. They're coming back from. They'll be coming back from the DL, and then it it begs the question: who you sending down?
I forget. I mean, I'm gonna sound terrible for saying this, and if he hears it, if you don't like it, play better. I wouldn't be upset if Cecil never pitched another game this year. It's like I was saying earlier.
I hear that from a lot of people.
I feel like all of his out pitches, all of his really good pitches, are pitches out of the zone,
Yeah, it's a slider.
right? So the thing is they know that about him now, and so what they do is they don't swing.
Pretty much.
And if you don't throw strikes, you walk people, and you put people on bases, you high stress innings, and what are you going to do? So, yeah, I guess if he comes back and he makes adjustments, he can definitely have success. But I just don't know. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I haven't seen much about him that has shown me that he's ready to come back to be a left-handed specialist. And maybe he shouldn't be a left-handed specialist.
Yeah.
I mean, you could bring him back to sop up innings, but I don't know. I don't know who you would send down.
Well, the one of the guys that has struggled so far that makes me upset because I actually really like him as a pitcher has been Tuivalala.
Oh, yeah.
He has not pitched too hot this year. Apparently,
Great hair.
yeah. Apparently his velocity's been down a little bit than what it usually is, and it also seems that he is at the point where he's out of options. So
He is. He's out of options.
So you can't really send him down without exposing him to waivers, and someone will pick him up.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone will pick him up in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Unless he goes on
but-
the DL.
Yeah, or you trade him.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have plans for him, you got to try to figure out how to keep him. I don't think that they should do anything with him.
They have enough of a surplus of young arms that you have bullpen help for a while.
Right.
Case in point, Jordan Hicks. He's a starter in the minor leagues. He's one of Cardinals' top prospects. But you know what's cool? He throws 101 with sink.
And attitude.
Yeah, and Yadier Molina said during spring training that it was the best stuff that he saw all spring. So
Consider who he's caught too.
yeah, it's like it's the best stuff he's seen in a really long time. And you got this 21-year-old kid pitching with poise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny if you go on Statcast for MLB for the fastest pitches, it's got this really cool button called the Chapman filter. So all the Aroldis Chapman pitches they take out. Well, the top 8 pitches right now are Jordan Hicks, not Aroldis Chapman.
But I saw too that Hicks, and this may have changed since last season's pitch, but he has the highest average fastball velocity this year, which is higher than Chapman.
Yeah,
That's outrageous.
and he doesn't throw a 4-seam traditionally. He throws a 2-seam and a sinker.
Right.
Technically speaking, it comes up with 2-seam or sinker on Statcast, but from what I can tell, he throws primarily a 2-seamer. But when your 2-seamer drops 6 inches,
It's the same.
yeah, it's pretty much a sinker.
I mean, it's with hop and movement, and so anybody can catch up to a straight fastball. But if that thing moves, watch out.
yeah, and that's what I mean. I think that's one of the reasons so far that he's been so successful
so
is
you
that it's
wouldn't
got
send
so
him
much
down?
movement. No, I would not.
No.
Like, I don't care if he's young and he has all of his options left. He's your best bullpen arm right now. If you send him down, you're stupid.
So check this out. So like I said, I don't know much about Gregerson. I'm not really sure what is going to happen with him.
Gregor,
But
I have a lot to say on Gregerson.
like to me, I think you designate Brett Cecil for a rehab assignment maybe have him work on
Probably.
a few things.
He'll probably have a couple outings in
think
AAA.
I think you keep Flaherty up. I think you put Flaherty in the pen, and the only reason I say that is because if you keep having Wainwright or
with
pitchers
Cecil
having
on-
short innings, you're going to need somebody to mop up long innings who can be successful.
Well, here's the problem. With Cecil being on the DL, their bullpen's already full. So if Cecil comes back, once he gets off the DL, someone has to get sent down. If you send down Cecil, that's fine, but your bullpen's still full.
Right.
So you can't bring up Flaherty without sending another arm down.
And I'm good with that too.
Which is why Flaherty got sent down when Wainwright came back from the DL. So right now,
who do we have?
personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Matt Bowman, but his last few outings, he's been pretty solid. So
But I mean, he's supposed to be there. We bring you
sinker
in with a
baller
guy
guy.
on, get a double play,
he's Seth Maness too.
2.0.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing, and this is to me, it's like this with all sinker ballers. They're more effective when they're worn out. So he's pitched a couple games in a row. So he came out that first game, he wasn't good.
No.
Because he had a lot of life in his arm, and when you throw a sinker hard, it doesn't sink as much as it needs to sink. And that's what he got in trouble with. Again, he can be effective, but is he the most effective in what you... I mean, I know he fills a specific role, but is he the most effective player? Is he the best player for what you're doing? I'm not convinced either.
Not really.
And that's not necessarily a dig on him, but more of a kudos to the guys that they have lined up behind him.
Right.
They've got really good arms coming up. Reyes is coming back soon.
Yeah, and that just brings up another problem. Like, what are you like? You've got so many guys in the bullpen that can do something for you.
So Flaherty or Reyes is a starter.
Right now, Flaherty,
Flaherty,
because
okay.
he's been able to pitch the last year.
Well, and my thing is too, yeah. And I think
And
I'd like to
Reyes
have
hasn't pitched in the major leagues since 2016.
yeah. Well, see, traditionally the Cardinals have had a Brad Thompson type reliever.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Thompson with the rubber arm come in. He can give you 8 innings one game, 5 innings another.
Yeah.
Back to back to back to back. I don't know how he did it because,
Right.
my arm feels like it's gonna fall off after I make 3 throws from third base. But good for him. He's a freak of nature. But I think if their pitchers can't find the strike zone, they can't get deep into games, which is a distinct possibility. In the way they've been going, they've been chewing up the bullpen. It'd be nice to have a starter-type pitcher in the bullpen who can
They
pitch.
have Mike Myers. That's why he's there, and they haven't used him yet.
They used him one time, didn't they?
I don't think they have.
think they
If
got
they
him in
did,
one.
they may have used him in the first game. But he's
But what if you
that's
had,
your long relief guy.
What if you had a Flaherty in there
Well,
that you could have a hair trigger on a pitcher?
Here's the thing. Whenever they decided that that Myers was going to make or Myers, I don't know how you pronounce it.
I think he says Myers.
Well,
I
whenever
would say.
they decided that he was going to be on the major league roster, he had a great spring,
Mm-hmm.
and I give him that. But it came toward the end of spring. Who are you going to keep? Are you going to keep Brebbia or are you going to keep Myers? And to me, it was no question you keep Brebbia because the last season he pitched in the major leagues a full season and was effective. Right. He didn't have a great spring, but I mean, what do spring numbers do to your major league record?
They don't mean
Nothing.
much. But
And
at the same
Mayers in the
time-
major leagues was awful. Look at his major league stats. Like, I'm not trying to dog on him. Like, look at his major league stats. It is bad. It's like a career 19 point something ERA in the
That's-
major
yeah.
leagues. He's had a couple starts and he pitched really bad. Now apparently he had improved velocity. He pitched really well in spring. Fantastic. To me it was never a question. But what do I know? Obviously not much.
Right,
That's
right.
that's
I mean,
why
like,
that's why I
I
made the
guess-
team. But now
I guess that's why
They're
we're
not
second
using
guessing
him.
on a podcast and
But-
not making the big bucks making the
well,
calls for the
yeah,
team.
but here's the thing: you keep him on the team, and you don't use him. Bowman's had 5 appearances in
Yeah.
7 games, or 4 appearances in 7 games, and you got this guy who hasn't pitched at all.
You've got a ton of pitchers in your organization who you shouldn't feel like any hesitation about going to.
Yeah,
Like there are pitchers that don't make me queasy when they come in. There are pitchers that do. But if
Like
you've
Cecil.
got I didn't want to say any names, but
Hey,
you said it on me.
well, no,
I do get the tight cheeks when he comes in,
Well-
especially if it's a close game. It's like,
well, here's the thing with Cecil. Last season, I thought he was fine.
he started off really rough, but yeah, he kind of leveled out.
Here's the
toward
funny
end.
thing about starting off really rough. He didn't get off to a great start. Yeah, His second appearance, he didn't even get through an inning. He gave up a couple hits, couple walks, gave up 4 earned runs in his second appearance. So from the get-go, early April, Cardinals fans are like, well, this guy sucks.
But he wasn't thrilled with his performances either.
Yeah, but the rest of April, he gave up 1 earned run in 9 innings. But that one outing completely screwed it. For the month of April, he had a 4.5 ERA. Yeah. He had a 4.5 ERA. Not great. But,
Right.
I mean, if you really want to look at it, if a starting pitcher goes 6 innings and gives up 3 runs, he gets a quality start, and that's a 4.5 ERA. Right. Now, for a bullpen guy, especially a lefty specialist, you would hope for better numbers. And in the month of May, it was the same thing, a 4.5 ERA. So for the first 2 months of the season, he was effectively average.
Right.
But in June, he had a 2.84 ERA. That's pretty good. You have an under 3 ERA, I would say it's pretty good. July, 2.5. And then here's where he hit problems. In the month of August, it was 6.92.
Yeah.
And then you get to the month of September, it's 2.25. So he had 3 months where he was really good, 2 months where he was effectively average, and then 1 month where he was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of Cardinals fans look at those couple bad outings and go, he's garbage. Which I don't think he's that bad.
This.
For the season, he had a 3.8 ERA, which was better than Bowman. Granted,
Okay, so you
I
say
haven't
he's better
loved
than
Bowman, but
You would probably put him ahead of Mayers, based on what you said.
oh, absolutely.
Would you put him ahead of Brebia?
No,
What about Reyes?
no.
Hicks?
Right now, no. I wouldn't put any.
Gregerson?
I wouldn't even put Holland ahead of Hicks.
Gregerson?
Gregerson over Cecil.
And I know these are apples to oranges, but
I would put. I think Gregerson's vastly underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get the Cardinals' gripes because originally, the Cardinals came out and was like, "Oh, he's gonna be a closer type guy."
I guess what I'm getting at is if you look at him and you compare him to who else they have to put in their bullpen,
I think he's right in the middle.
Is he good enough to be in the bullpen?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. His ERA at the end of the year was 3.8, which is fine. It's not great, whatever. Definitely better guys in the bullpen last year. Definitely worse guys in the bullpen last year. But then when you get into more like analytic type stats, his fielding independent pitching, basically it's like based on how you pitched, this is what your ERA should be, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Disregarding fielders. His fielding independent was 3.29, which is pretty solid. That's a pretty good number.
I can't speak to that because I'm not really sure what is.
I mean,
good
if
and
you
what
have
isn't.
or
even how they come
basically
to that number.
Yeah, I'm not big into that either. All I know is that it's supposedly if you took the defense out of it and you just did it based on the numbers you gave up, this is an idea of what you should be doing. So if you're fielding independent is way high compared to your ERA, your defense it means your defense kind of bailed you out.
Right.
Whereas for him, his ERA was better, so the defense didn't bail him out.
I get that. Yeah, I just don't know how they calculated, and I don't know what the league average is on that or anything like that.
They adjust it throughout the season depending on league averages.
I'll tell you what I'm going to watch for is I'm going to watch for his attitude and his shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets on himself, because I think that was part of his problem last year. I mean, he got a pretty decent contract with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what he's made in the past, but it's probably one of the bigger contracts that he's had in his career.
I think it was 4 years, $30 million.
And people do this all the time. They get money and they're like, I've got to justify earning this money.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, and this is me. I look more at what they bring you into. I feel like they're bringing him in to be a lefty specialist. I don't know how effective he was at lefties. It just didn't seem like he was very effective at lefties.
I mean,
but you're getting the money.
You have a guy like
you're getting the
you have
money.
Lyons that basically fulfills the same role.
Right.
Problem is Lyons isn't really a lefty specialist
No,
either. They both
he's just good.
They both have the same. Well, the thing is, they both have like the same idea. They're a fastball slider guy.
Right. But Lyons I think fits more of the starter mold. He's out of
Yeah.
the starter mold, but I see him now in
I-
his career where they're just going to put him in the bullpen because of who they have coming up. You
Yeah,
know,
they have so many
when you
starter
talk
type
Reyes and
pitchers that
Flaherty and stuff like that, and Lyons is just going to be an odd man
we
out.
effectively have 7 starters right now.
Right.
And
And
then
that's the thing about him though is he
only
said
5 can
I'm
start.
going to go where I'm useful
Yeah.
because he wants to play ball. Good for him. But I mean, back to my point with the money and players getting like nervous and trying to earn their contracts. They're getting that money because of what they did.
Yeah.
And so you're getting back paid, I guess, is the way to look at it. You have proved that you were worth that. You don't need to continue to prove that you're worth that because you're going to get that money either way.
Right.
You just need to go out there and play ball. And if Cecil can do that, maybe he'll be effective. If he can make the adjustments, because like I said, his out pitches are largely out of the strike zone. If he can get strike 1 and strike 2 and then make the batter be on the defensive, he's going to be in a lot better shape. So maybe he can figure out how to throw that big sweeping slider for a strike.
Yeah.
Maybe he can start with a fastball. I know Maddox likes to push that fastballs up.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the high fastball to help the
Which
bat.
a high fastball is cool.
High fastball is
Belt high fastball is
no,
not.
that's not a high fastball.
No,
What is
that's
it?
just a fastball.
Yeah,
that's
that's
higher than where you were used to
That's
throwing
called,
it.
That's called batting practice, is what that's
Yeah.
called. So there's that.
I was upset with the reaction towards Gregerson whenever we signed him because last season was kind of an anomaly for him. He didn't pitch well last year. Let's just be frank. It was a rough
what it
year
is.
for him. But he has like 10 years of major league experience, and before that season, his career ERA was 2.8. That's pretty solid for a reliever in the course of a 10-year career.
But that's a 10-year career, so is he
Yeah.
winding down?
I don't think he was ever really winding up.
I mean,
He
if
is
that-
what
I
he
mean, if
is.
that-
He's a two-seam
That's what I'm
sinker ball kind of pitcher. He's
I'm just saying,
basically
and using Wainwright, and that'll
Yeah.
kind of help us segue into our next topic, but using Wainwright as an example. Wainwright this year isn't Wainwright 2010, 2013, 2006,
yeah.
He's definitely he's older. And I saw that article you wrote, and I joked with you. I told you it sounded like an obituary.
Basically.
I feel like the reports of his demise have been greatly over-exaggerated.
Just a tad bit.
But I mean, he's older now, and he's just not an ace. So I mean, I guess getting back to Gregerson, it's possible that some of the angst that's coming out of his signing is because people are worried that he might be at the end of his rope. He might be on that downhill slide. And for some players, it's like a gradual decline, and other players, it's a cliff.
It's like that ride at Six Flags where the bottom drops out and you just fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that one. The Superman Tower Power. Six Flags. If you want to
I mean, if you
hit
like
us up.
it, yeah, if you like, Cardinal
I'm
baseball,
kidding.
which you should.
But seriously, hit us up.
But it seems like a lot of the conversation involving Wainwright was, why'd you send down Flaherty? You're like, well, all right. Well, first off,
'Cause he's a rookie.
it would be Walker's start anyway. So I don't know why you guys
they
are
didn't
crazy.
They didn't take Flaherty's
You're not
start.
taking
They
a
just
start
took his
away from
spot.
Flaherty. You're just,
They just took his roster spot.
yeah, it's not a big deal. It's fine. It would have been Walker's start, and I don't think anyone really cares that much about Walker missing a start. So,
Well, they've done this with him in his career where they give him an extra day. I've never seen it this early in his career, but they've done that where they give him an extra day's rest.
yeah, I mean,
They have
and
him
it
skip
makes
a
sense.
start, blah, blah,
And
blah,
it makes
all that
sense
stuff.
because with his particular arm slot, it
Mm.
is it's prone to shoulder injury, and so giving him that extra day of rest is trying to make sure that he doesn't have that injury problem.
So, and here you had Wainwright versus Flaherty. Who gets the rotation spot? I'm not really all that worried about that. And I know it sounds stupid, but like I've made this argument. I would like to see both of them on the roster.
Yeah,
And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe Flaherty needs to be down in AAA, getting regular starts.
I wouldn't. Yeah, at least for right now, especially since that he's going to be a rotation spot in the future. I wouldn't put him in the bullpen.
And
at
for
least
everybody
right
out
now.
there who's like freaking out because he's not on the roster, somebody's going to get hurt. I'm not trying to jinx
Probably.
anybody, but
Honestly, I have.
people are probably going to get hurt.
Well, I mean, we'll get to it here in a minute before we wrap up. But
Predictions?
one of my predictions is that I don't think Michael Wacha is going to be starting for us come midseason. I think he'll be traded.
You think he'll be gone?
Yeah, I think they'll trade him.
Oh, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think they could get for him what they would need to let him go.
I mean, I think they would. He's up for arbitration next year.
Well, that's
And
a
I don't think
possibility.
they necessarily want to pay him, especially with Flaherty looking the way he looks.
Well,
I think
Flaherty
they,
and Ray is waiting in the wings.
yeah, I think they would rather, be like, all right, Walker, you did good for us. We appreciate that, and trade him somewhere. Get, knowing the Cardinals probably another outfield prospect,
Okay.
but
And-
and then kind of slide Flaherty into the role there, especially
We
if
don't
he's
need
still,
another
especially
outfield
especially
prospect.
if he's still dealing in the minors.
Yeah.
Just kind of float Flaherty in that role, and then that leaves you with the opportunity because you said injuries happen. That gives you the opportunity to where if another injury pops up, now you have Reyes too.
Yeah.
Because he's on the 60-day right now.
I would really not like to see Reyes in a starting position.
I don't think.
And I think it's just a Tommy John thing.
I don't.
I
He's
worry
had
about
so
that.
much time in between that surgery, though. I think he's more than capable of stepping into a starter role, especially since it's going to be midseason. It's not like you're worried about him hitting 180 innings. He'll have like maybe 100, and it'll be cool. And
Right.
you would just have to monitor his pitch count. Probably
Yeah.
keep him around 5-6 innings until the
Right.
time being, unless he's just
Right.
if he's in the 6th inning and he's only throwing 65 pitches, yeah, let him keep going. But they'll probably have him on an 85 to 90 pitch limit for the first month or so that he's in the rotation, and then kind of ease him out of that.
Yeah.
But
And-
he'll have rehab starts before
but
that.
again,
He'll
and
be
like I
starting
said, I
games
just-
in
I don't-
Palm Beach.
I don't necessarily want to see him in the starting rotation this year. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. That'll be a non-starter. If he's with the big club, hopefully he's with the big club in a bullpen role. Just to kind of allow him to get better. Because I know that Tommy John's is a big surgery, and they say this long and he'll be back, but it's everybody's a little different.
I mean, and at
And-
this point, he could have probably stepped in and at least fulfilled some bullpen role. Honestly, right now, I think that he could probably be doing rehab stuff in
He needs
some form in the minor leagues. See, I mean, he's been throwing since last season.
Yeah. They need to ease him in, but they need to be definitely being about their business about getting him back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I get nervous about putting him in there because he's such a talent that I don't want to see him back too soon and injuring himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wainwright versus Flaherty. Which Martinez will we see all year? I think we're more likely to see Martinez start 2 than we are Martinez start 1.
I mean, I think
But I
it'll be a
think-
little bit of a middle ground.
Yeah,
Kind of in between that.
yeah.
I don't think you're going to see a 4 2/3 and then go to 8 1/3. I think you'll be like 6.5, like
What do you
6,
think?
7.
Yeah, as I was saying, average 7 innings.
I mean, and the
Handful of
big thing
strikeouts.
with his first start is that he couldn't locate the fastball, and that's a big strike thrower for him. And
You know-
then in game 2, at least what I noticed, he was throwing a lot of two seamers for strikes, and about the 92, 93 mile an hour, and then he'd start throwing four seamers to to catch him off balance, hitting 97, 98.
And the thing about him you got to really watch is his shoulder. He likes to fly that lead shoulder open, and when he does that, he loses control.
Yeah,
And he usually does that when he gets hyped or when he gets frustrated.
which happens often.
Yeah, like when Jose Martinez throws the ball to left field. Like, I know I'm going back to that,
Yeah.
but I really feel like that was kind of the turning point of that game.
Yeah,
Because that
and
could have
then
been a double play
later
ball,
in
got
that
him out of the
game-
inning.
Later in that game, though, when they tied it up with the Yachty home run, I kind of thought that would be like, oh, let's turn it around, but it didn't.
It didn't. No,
Alas,
it didn't.
Alas, it did not. But I mean, how sick was that Yachty home run off
That
a
was
center
nice.
guard fastball?
That was nice.
I was like,
I didn't get to see it. I was listening to it in the car, but yeah, I was like, woo, home run.
I mean, Molina's tied with the team lead in home runs right now. How great would it be if Molina just bombs 30 this
Well,
season?
can you imagine, how many home runs are there?
What?
45. He batted 300.
That's MVP.
Yeah, and him playing defense the way he plays. Now,
Yeah.
maybe we're being optimistic with him,
A little bit.
but we know he's capable of it.
Yeah.
He's clutch, you know. And like as far as Wayno goes, he needs to be on the team.
Yeah. At least, even if it's just
I
for
get
his
all you guys
presence.
out there that love Flaherty, but just the presence of a guy like Wayno is more valuable than gold to a baseball team, especially
Yeah,
a
it's
young
just
team.
his presence.
Yeah.
The as much information that he can give those young starters.
And he's
I
going.
would love for him to come back as a coach after his
Right.
time with the Cardinals.
What
is
I'd like
done,
to see,
but,
I would have liked to see Matt Carpenter come back as a coach. We didn't get to see that.
Yeah, or
But I
Chris.
feel like I'm sorry, Chris.
I think he's still sort of doing.
He
stuff
did,
with the
he
team.
did, but
He did
I
in
don't know.
spring
I
training.
don't know
what
how
he's doing
much
now.
how much good it'd do to have him yelling with the spit coming out of his mouth and the big old
That'd be fun.
at people. It's like, throw better pitches. Come on, you gotta feel that. He's throwing his guts out for you.
Yeah. It's like it's usually.
You
I
can't
think
teach passion.
what it boils down to as a pitcher, it seems kind of overlooked, but it really just boils down to with throw strikes.
Yeah, yeah. How do you have a successful outing? Strike one.
Yeah,
I mean,
started off good.
I hate to
First pitch
oversimplify
strikes.
it. I mean, and you don't want to groove a bell tie fastball.
Yeah.
We learned that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought we knew that, but we did definitely learn that. We confirmed that theorem. Don't throw bell tie fastballs. But you definitely want to start off with a strike because the same reason I don't like hitting from behind, it should be the same reason everybody doesn't like hitting from behind.
Yep.
Get ahead in the count, pitch from in front of the count, and then you can pitch backwards, which is nice. But I mean, Wainwright haters out there, he's getting older. Everybody does get older. Relax. All right, to steal one from Aaron Rodgers' playbook here. RELAX. Relax. He's going to come around. And if I could give advice to Adam Wainwright, here's what I'd tell him. Stop pitching for the haters. Start pitching for those that love you. All right?
Pretty much.
Go out there and enjoy playing baseball. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You're a stud. You've been a stud. You had a storied career. Just go out there and have fun, man, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right? All right, so let's get to predictions.
Yep.
Record. What did I say? I think I texted it to you.
I think it was probably like I'm pretty sure it was like 82 or 83.
It was 83 wins, but I don't know the math. What is
83-79.
83-79. Does that sound right? 162.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my prediction. I mean, I could very well be wrong, but I just don't see this as a team right now. I see the same thing that I saw all last year. It's they would start to get hot and then they would sputter. At no point last year did they ever fire on all 8 cylinders because we're V8.
Yeah. Woo.
At no point did they fire on all 8 cylinders last year. They just felt like a sputtering engine. It's like with all kinds of potential, but they just couldn't get it figured out to get it all together. They have the talent this year, but they have to put streaks together, and I'm not convinced I'm going to see the streaks.
Yeah.
A 10-game winning streak would be nice, a couple of them. Tony La Russa always used to play to get.
I mean, Cleveland broke the record last year, and
I'm not looking for that. I mean, just a good winning streak.
I mean, if we could beat that, though, that'd be cool.
See, here's the cool thing: if you get 10 games above, if you have a 10-game winning streak, and you get 10 games above 500, you can play 500 ball the rest of the way out, and you're still going to be 10 games over 500 at the end of the season.
Yep.
So you string a couple of those together, you have a really good season. So I know, and I don't want to put too much emphasis on it, but it needs to be said, you have to be able to string some back to back to back to back to back. Sweep some teams, win thing. Tony La Russa always said you can't win every game, but you can win every series. That'd be nice. Yeah. I mean, if you only win 2 in a row, but you're taking 2 out of 3 from everybody,
you're doing pretty good.
All right, I'll take that. But I don't know. I see. It's sometimes like those games in Milwaukee, they looked untouchable. And
for the most part.
And then other games, you look at them, it's like I've never seen a baseball before in my life.
Pretty much.
Is that baseball?
I think I'm a little more optimistic about this team. I think our bullpen's actually a strength.
I think surprised by the bullpen.
I think we've got a lot of good arms. We didn't even touch on Leone. I mean, he had that rough outing against Milwaukee, but I think he's going to be a pretty solid, probably a setup guy to Holland. I think signing Holland was like one of the best things we could have done. Yeah. I think he's lights out. Last season, everyone says he had a bad second half. No, he had a bad 3 weeks. He had a bad month.
He had 41 saves? 42 saves?
He led the National League.
How about this? 40-plus saves, and he did it with half of his games
in Coors Field. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lights out. When he's on, he's an elite closer.
Like, you get a hitter out of Colorado with big numbers, you're like, is it him or is it the park? You get a pitcher with lights out numbers out of Coors Field, it's the real deal. Because, a mistake that's a fly ball to the center fielder in St. Louis is like 3 rows up in Coors Field.
Pretty much. I think our record, I mean, again, I'm pretty optimistic. I think we have a lot of talent, and I think maybe I'm going off the potential. I think we're a 90 win team. I think we're going 90, 72. But then, yeah, before we wrap up real quick.
Yeah, because we're closing in here on the end. So.
Yeah. So, as far as individual predictions, I actually wrote up a piece not very long ago. I think Paul DeYoung's going to hit 40. I think he's going to hit 40.
I'll
homers
second
this year.
that.
I think he's got the talent.
I don't think he's going to bat over 300 though.
No, I think his best. I think he's basically like a better version of Grichuk. He's got the power, but he's gonna hit more. He's still gonna strike. He's still gonna strike out a lot.
Yeah.
He's still gonna strike out a lot, but I think he's more selective when he swings, and so he tends to, I think he has a better hitting zone. I guess I think he can hit more pitches than Grichuk could. So
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be about a 260 to 280 hitter, but I think he has the potential to hit 30 to 40 bombs every season. So I think he's going to hit 40.
He's definitely got the pop to do it.
Yeah, which is weird for a shortstop, but
Yeah,
whatever.
you say that.
Technically, he's a third baseman.
But like growing up, I grew up with like A-Rod and Nomar.
Yeah.
These guys as shortstops had pop.
Yeah.
So a shortstop with pop to me isn't as crazy as it might sound to you because
Yeah, but
before those guys, you're talking Ozzie Smith 278.
yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, and
slap hitters.
whenever I get my numbers, I base it off what he did between both leagues. He played a lot in AAA last year and then came up with the Cardinals. And between AAA and major leagues, he had 38 home runs in 156 games, so around a full major league season if he stays healthy, with a pretty good number of at bats. So if he can hit 38, he can hit a couple more throughout the season. He's starting off strong with 3 so far in 7 games.
Yeah,
But he's got the high average right now. I think that'll level out a bit. But as far as individual predictions, I'll stick with that. I already said I think Michaelis can win 15. I also said I think Michael Walken can get Cy Young votes, but we'll see how that turns out. We have 30 more starts, guys. We have 30 more starts.
On that one though, aren't you?
I mean, the
It's
first
gonna
start
be hard
didn't.
for him to get Cy Young votes if he gets traded mid-season. I mean, if he's that kind of pitcher, they're not going to let him go
I mean,
unless they're way out of it.
yeah. I
Which
mean, if
that's
you get a
gonna go
good
against
trade
your
option.
prediction of the 90-win season.
No, if they trade him, honestly, if they trade him, he could be pitching really well. But the only reason they would trade him would be to give Flaherty that spot.
All right. So
I think if Flaherty's sitting in AAA doing what he did last year with like a 2.0 ERA, after a while it gets kind of tough to ignore.
Yeah, but I think at that point you bounce your weakest starter out of the rotation. You make your whole rotation better.
Yeah.
I mean, especially
which could be
if you're
Waka.
if you're saying he's getting if you're saying Waka's going to be getting Cy Young votes,
Yeah.
it means he's not going to be the worst one in your rotation, unless
Probably not.
everybody else in your rotation is getting Cy Young
Either
votes.
that or he gets traded
And that's not
mid-season and has an Arrieta-esque second half with like 15 wins. And
I still think Arrieta did steroids.
well,
I don't have anything to base that on.
yeah, just it's like I don't think
He was nothing, and then he was amazing, and now he's kind of nothing again.
Getting $25 million a year to do nothing.
Well,
Michaelis is getting 7.7. So you're telling me that to be worth his contract, Arrieta has to be 3 times better than Michaelis? That's stupid.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't know.
I don't think that's how that works. I mean,
No.
And again, I'm just kidding about the steroid thing, but he said it was Pilates.
Mm-hmm. I call it pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, Babe Ruth did it off of hot dogs and cigars, so who knows? Maybe Pilates did help him out.
Yeah. He
All
was
right, so here's my individual prediction.
Oh, yeah?
You ready? I just thought of this.
Okay.
You ready for this? This is bold, right? We're doing bold?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Jose Martinez,
MVP.
not MVP.
Oh,
Batting champion,
I can see it.
370.
I don't know if I can see that.
You know what? The first number I put in
I can see
in my head
340.
in my head it was 350. So I'm gonna go with that. He's gonna win. He's gonna have the best average in the majors, and it's gonna be 350 something.
I can see National League around 335, 340.
But this is bold.
Just
This is
as
bold.
yeah.
Shoot for the stars.
I mean, shoot for the stars. He's gonna be the first guy since Ted Williams to hit 400. No, not gonna happen.
Splendid splinter.
Yeah,
The Venezuelan
Viper.
Viper. Yes,
Yeah,
I couldn't
that'll
think of a
work.
word that started with V.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right. So anyway, and then the last thing, and we'll kind of wrap it up with this. And
Cool.
trades, predictions and trades. And we probably should have done this, and maybe when we do it in the future, we should have done record last.
Yeah.
But trades, big trades, you kind of let the cat out of the bag. You still thinking that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's the guy that teams are going to find the most value for as far as our tradable pitchers go. Because, like, as much as people would love to trade for Carlos Martinez, the Cardinals aren't going to do it.
No.
Wainwright's too old. No one's going to trade for Wainwright, unfortunately. He's making $19 million. No one's going to take on that contract, even if it is for half a season, unless Wainwright just starts dealing. But I don't think St. Louis would do that to him because of what he's done for the organization.
I think they want him to retire as a Redbird.
Yeah.
And I think that I think they want to put number 50 on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then who else do you have right now occupying rotation starts? You've got Michaelis. I don't think they're going to trade Michaelis. I think they brought him in on a 2-year deal to bridge the gap between Flaherty and Reyes joining the rotation for the future to be.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
I think that's exactly why they brought him in. Why didn't they get Darvish or Arrieta on like a 5 or 6 year deal? Because then you've got these guys waiting for 5 or 6 more years, and it just doesn't make any logical sense. And then who else do you have in the rotation? Weaver. I thought in the offseason he could have been traded, but he would have had to be traded for a guy like
Weaver. I even forgot about Weaver.
Yeah. I think we could do an entire podcast on Weaver.
They're stacked.
Yeah, and so I don't think they're going to trade Weaver because I think they view him as a solid number 2-3 starter going forward.
Yeah, and you might be able to do an entire podcast on Weaver. I don't know that much about him, but I know he's good.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my thing. And I'm racking my brain. I think Colton Wong.
Yeah, I can see it.
If anybody's going to get traded, I don't think they're going to make any moves because historically they don't.
Yeah, well, I actually did write
low-hanging fruit. And
I actually did
phrase.
write a bold prediction trade article involving. I think we will trade for Josh Donaldson.
What's he play?
Third base.
Third base.
Yeah.
So what do you see? Carpenter at second.
Yep. I think they would trade Jerko and pitching prospect. I'd say Hudson probably. He's probably the most major league ready.
If there's a spot that they could use some strengthening, and a spot that they could go, I think their infield defense. But I don't know enough about Donaldson to say what he is defensively. But I definitely think that there's a thing, and I don't know what it is, but there's just something like, and I like Colton Wong. I think he has potential to be really good.
Great defender.
Not putting it together yet.
No.
And I don't know if it's just a conflict with something. I just feel like there's something under the surface, and if they're in it and they need to deal, and my thing is they'll probably deal him for a reliever of some sort.
I think we're so stacked at the reliever position, though. I can't imagine them trading him for a reliever.
Unless they could get a good lefty.
I think that Wong would be more of a package to get a bigger name guy.
Big name.
Yeah.
So you think, what would you say, Wong and like Jerko?
No, it's two of the same player.
Yeah, but one of them's left-handed and one of them's right-handed.
Yeah, but you got two middle infielders. I doubt.
Baseman.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
But I just have a hard time saying that there's going to be a team that needs 2 MLB-ready infielders.
It's possible.
Maybe, but I would imagine they would use.
If you're looking for somebody that's building.
Yeah.
But again, you look at a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, which the Cardinals aren't going to trade within their division, and I don't know who they would have that we would actually want, and I don't know that you can necessarily make the outfield better without significantly harming the growth of your younger players.
Yeah.
So I don't see anybody in the outfield, and I just think that they haven't.
They have enough outfield prospects that
and
they could get away with using one of those.
And I'm not saying that their bullpen's not good, and the reason I go back to the bullpen is because maybe they can get a fresh arm.
Maybe.
But I mean that's kind of my bold prediction for trade. I think it'll be Colton Wong, but I have no idea who it'll be for. It might even be for like considerations. It's like let him go, get a draft pick or something.
Maybe
start over. But that's kind of it for our podcast. I mean, I don't have anything else. I don't know if you got anything else.
No, I think we're good.
We went about 1 hour and 10 minutes, which,
woo!
Hey, all right. I was thinking we would go 30. But I had fun. I hope you all enjoyed listening. And I don't know if you got any music queued up for the outro.
Oh yeah.
But you've been listening to the Musial Suspects podcast. I'm Brad.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're signing off.